Welcome to the Explore Real Estate Show. I am James Boslaw, your Fredericksburg area realtor and vacation rental investor. And this show is all about real estate in the Fredericksburg area, the Fawn Lake Community, and the vacation rental space. I help people buy and sell homes because I believe that everyone should grow their wealth as they live in or own a home that they love. I also believe that everyone should feel confident when buying or selling a home, and confidence comes when you are well educated and informed. And that's what this show is all about. Enjoy the show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Explore Real Estate Show, where in today's episode, we're going to break down the real estate statistics for the Fawn Lake community through the month of November. And we're coming to the end of the year. This data is really important for us to take a look at. It gives us an early indication as to how things are going to wrap up for this year. And it also gives us some signals into what we can look forward to as we enter into the 2024 season. So with that being said, I'm going to dive into the 5 key areas that we're going to take a look at for the Fawn Lake community in the month of November by itself. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the larger picture, which would be the year-to-date numbers, which is January through November of this year, which gives us a larger sample and more accurate data, which we'll get to in just a moment. So let's dive right on into the monthly data for the Fawn Lake community. And as we do that, we'll see that the overall sold dollar volume is down about 16% this November than it was in last November of 2022. So less overall sold dollar volume. The average sales price is down 43% this year versus last year. Now, that is a huge decrease in the average sales price, and that might be alarming for many of you to hear, but let me just provide some perspective on that number. This year we had 3 homes sell in the month of November, whereas in last year we had 2 homes that sold, and those 2 homes that sold last November were at a much higher sales price, which we'll get to in just a moment. So I will get into the year-to-date statistics that get into the overall average sold sales price and how it differs this year versus last year. It's not quite that dramatic, and we'll get to that in just a moment. The median sales price is also down about 44% this year. Once again, that has to do with the small sample of homes that we're looking at. We'll take a look at a much larger sample in just a moment, which will be more accurate picture of what's taking place in our community. The units sold, once again, this year is up 50%. We had 3 homes sell in the month of November this year, whereas in last year we did have 2 homes that sold in the month of November. The average days on market is about the same. We're actually up about 7% as far as overall days on market. So this year, on average, it is taking about 30 days for your house to get sold in the month of November, whereas in last year it took about 28 days for a house to be in the market before it was under contract. Now, those numbers, once again, are looking at just November of this year and comparing it to November of last year. The more accurate data is going to be our year-to-date statistics, which take a look at January of this year through November of this year, and then comparing it to January through November of last year. So we're looking at 11 months instead of just one, which is a much larger picture, much more accurate data for us to look at. And when we do that in these same 5 key areas, this is what we find out. The overall sold dollar volume is down 36%. There is just plain and simple fewer homes being sold this year than there were last year. The average sales price is down about 5%. So once again, not as dramatic as the monthly stats, but when you look at the overall average sales price in homes that are sold this year and compare it to last year, we are down about 5%. Nothing significant, but it is important to note that the average sales price is lower this year than it was in 2022 year to date. The median sales price is down about 3%, further indicating that sales prices are not going up in the Fawn Lake community. They are currently down this year, just slightly, but they are down this year from last year. Overall units sold is down 33%. Now, let me give you a more precise number just to give you an idea of what that means. This year, January through November, we have had 49 homes sold in the Fawn Lake community. So 49 homes sold this year, whereas in last year, January through November, we had 73 homes that have sold. So our overall units sold is down 33%. That is a significant number, further indicating that folks are just not wanting to sell their homes right now, and fewer buyers are wanting to jump in because of those higher interest rates that we've experienced through the course of this year. Those interest rates are coming down, and we'll talk about that at the end of this episode. The average days on market overall year to date is up about 29%. So this year, on average, it is taking about 27 days for a house to go under contract, whereas in last year, it took about 21 days for a home to go under contract. So we're talking about just a 6-day difference here, nothing major. On average, it's going to take you roughly about a month or less to get your house under contract if you are looking to sell. Now, the overall closed sales this November was 3 homes that have sold, and the 5-year average is about 6. So yes, fewer homes sold this November compared to the last 5 on average. That's just kind of where we're at right now. Fewer homes are selling. As far as active listings, this is kind of interesting. This November, we have 26 active listings, homes that are currently on the market for sale in our community, not yet under contract, and our 5-year average is actually 20. So we actually have a few more homes that are on the market listed than the 5-year average. Further supporting that our months of supply is actually higher this November, which is 6.5 months worth of supply available here in Fawn Lake, whereas in the 5-year average is 3.9. So what we're seeing is that there are more inventory and less demand this year than the average over the last 5 years. Now, all that being said, what do we do with all this data? What does that mean if you are listening to this podcast? If you're a homeowner in the Fawn Lake community, this is what it means. It means that your home is worth a little bit less this year than it was last year. The values have come down just slightly, nothing to be worried about or to be too upset about because these changes are minor, but your house is worth less this year than it was in 2022. And that is something that, once again, I don't take joy in sharing that with you all. I am also a homeowner in here as well, of course. But it's nothing to freak out about because we were experiencing record appreciation in 2020 to 2022. And then what we have seen is that the values have come down just slightly as the market has cooled off with those higher interest rates. And everything is kind of calming down a little bit here in the neighborhood. But your values are hanging in there. They haven't plummeted. They're not falling like crazy. And now that the interest rates are starting to come back down again. As we're recording this episode, you can go out and based on a few variables, your interest rate is going to be about 6.5%, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but about 6.5%. And that is a welcome for home buyers because we kind of peaked at about 8% or upper sevens not that long ago. So what this is doing is it's creating a lot of buyer demand to jump back into the market and look at some options. It's created some incentives for that pent-up demand that's been waiting for the lower interest rates to jump back in. So if you're a seller, I think that you should be encouraged by that. I do think that we're going to start to see more and more buyer activity. And as long as inventory remains where it currently is at, I do think that we're going to start to see some appreciation again in the coming months, which we will track and keep a close eye on, but I do think that that is an encouraging sign. Now, if you're a buyer listening to this video and you want to move into the Fawn Lake community, you've always wanted to be here, well, now might be the time. With the higher inventory and interest rates that are starting to come back down, this may be a great time for you to jump in and take a look at some homes before the buyer demand starts to exceed the supply and we start to see bidding wars again. So if you're a buyer looking to move into the Fawn Lake community, now is a great time for you to look into doing so before I think things will get pretty exciting. So as I close out this episode, we are just in between Christmas and New Year's, and I'll be bringing to you the statistics for the month of December in 2 or 3 weeks. And when we do that, it's going to give us a very good picture of the year of 2023. We're going to be able to look back and review what took place this year in our community. But what we're also going to be able to do is we're going to have more data so that we can preview what 2024 is going to look like. But as of right now, there are some key signals and indicators that 2024 is going to be a strong year for real estate. It's going to be a year where there's expected and anticipated appreciation again in home values. It's also a year where we think that the overall sold dollar volume will tick back up again as those interest rates drop and buyers jump back into the market. We do anticipate there to be more activity in 2024. But once again, we're going to be watching the statistics and the data every month. I'm going to be bringing that to you so that you are educated and informed and just aware of what's taking place in our own community. So it is an honor for me to bring this data to you. Once again, data does not lie. This isn't my opinion. These are just facts that I want to bring to you. And it is my hope that by me bringing this to your attention, that you are educated and informed so that you and your family can make the best decision that you need to make, whether you're looking to buy or sell. And as always, I just want to remind you that if you are or know someone that is looking to buy or sell a home, you can always contact me at my website at explorewithjb.com, and I would love to connect with you so that I can offer you some more expert advice on this community. Also, I just want to also remind you that if you are listening to this on Apple's podcast, make sure that you follow the show so that you can be kept up to date on the most recent episodes that I bring to you. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then make sure that you click subscribe. That way you two are also kept up to date on my most recent episodes. Okay, as we wrap up this episode, I wish everyone that is listening to this a very happy new year. I hope and pray that 2024 will be your best year yet. And I look forward to continuing this show with you into the new year as we bring to you the most recent data in the Fredericksburg area, the Fawn Lake community, and the vacation rental space. Until then, have a happy new year, and we'll see you on the next episode.